Howdy, everyone. Welcome on in to the Best Bell Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host tonight, Bradley Stalder. You can follow me on Twitter at FFStalder. And tonight, special guest Felix Castro joins me, Best Ball Nation analyst, also Millie Maker winner on DraftKings. I know. Happy to have you on. We're going to do a live draft tonight. $1 million to the winner in this DraftKings live draft. Welcome on in, Felix. Happy to have you join me tonight.
Happy to be here. Happy to help and be part of this journey with you.
Awesome. Yeah. So without further ado, I'm going to get to the sharing screen portion of all this. We're going to get to the lobby. If you're all ready, I'm going to be ready. Let me pull it up and adjust all the screen sizes and things. And so Felix and I are going to jump into this NFL Best Ball 3.5 millionaire, 1 million to first, $5 entry. So we're going to talk about this style of tournament as we go through it, but there are 837,000 possible entrants in this draft. So far, it's about 10% filled, 83,000 people so far.
That's crazy.
Submitting lineups. So ready when you are to enter.
And hit enter.
All right.
Enter.
I'm in. Tickets. Are you in?
I am in.
All right. Enter.
Right? That's what you got?
Yep. 5 out of 12. That's where we're at. Excellent. Right. So a few things about this DraftKings draft. We mentioned earlier that this is 837,000 possible entrants by the time September rolls around. It's 10% filled, Felix. It's a full PPR tournament, and you start one quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex. As I said, full PPR, but this is where it's different than other full PPR tournaments. There are bonuses that come into play. So Felix, like the bonuses for rushing and the bonuses for passing and receiving, how much does that play into your targeting particular players as you enter this draft?
I think earlier on, you definitely want to get as you'll see most likely in this draft, like quarterbacks go higher on DraftKings than any other site because the 300-yard passing bonus is huge. Because you don't want somebody that's, partially running the ball and only getting like 200 yards passing. You want the guy that has the upside to do maybe even hit both, like Josh Allen. Other running backs that could do it, so as you may have seen on I post everywhere putting Najee as 101.
Ooh.
Because I have the thought process that he could be potentially not only receiving 100 yards, but rushing 100 yards in a game. Because he got a little bit bigger this year, so he's going to be,
Jerome Bettis size.
Yeah. But he's looking good. I mean, in my opinion, he's not Eddie Lacying it.
Oh, I mean, it takes a special person to Eddie Lacy
it. Well, did you see the picture of Leonard Fournette?
Dude got chunks. Yeah. He got chunked for sure. I'm not too worried about Fournette.
No, I'm not either.
To be honest, though.
No. But it's still what, May? He's got a few months.
June 7th.
Oh,
Felix. It's flying by though. We're having lots of fun here. If you want to join in on the drafters or on the DraftKings tournament, this is the $5 entry, the 837,000 person entrance. I think we're going to get started here shortly. Looking at some of the ADP, so you mentioned you're taking Najee sometimes at the 101.
Every time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, interesting. I have about 80% Najee right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a bold call.
Okay, so this is, how do I say this? What I did last year is I took Derrick Henry at 101. New offense coordinator that they said that they wanted to implement more passing with him. So I thought, he's going to blow up. Well, to start off the season, he blew up. So my thought process, if I just go hard, and I know that nobody else is really doing this, is going hard at their early round picks. Did we get the 11, 12 here?
Let me see. I might need to.
I don't know who. Yeah, that's funny if we did.
I am. Yeah, you got the 11. I got the 12. Well, you're gonna be sniped. We're gonna be sniping each other back and forth. This is gonna be not gonna be good. I think. Can we redo? I want to renege.
But yeah, like I went heavy on certain players. I had like a core of players that I wanted like on every team, and it's kind of working out the same time, like the same way this year, where I'm getting like certain stacks and certain players, but I'm getting different in like small areas.
Okay.
I had a 50% advance rate last year, which helped with that. Is like one of the reasons I think that helped.
Wow, that's an interesting strategy because my perspective of the 101 is like that's going to be one of your only opportunities to get Jonathan Taylor. Like unless you're in a draft with Felix Castro, Jonathan Taylor is going to be taken at the 101. So why not wait until the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th picks and just like always scoop up Najee there? Or are you just doing that anyways?
Yeah, I'm literally picking him anytime he's in the first round because the way I look at it, we're getting diversification of that first pick everywhere. Because not only do I think he's not going to get any less work. I mean, unless he gets hurt, which you can't predict injuries. I mean, kind of can, but like,
he like Najee Harris doesn't have a history of these soft tissue issues,
right? And he just got bulkier and heavier, and not to say that you can't do it, but it's like if you're making that diversification in different rounds, like I'll pair up Najee if I get the 101, I pair him up with Chubb and Saquon. How many people are going to get that three pick? It's going to be pretty rare. Or if I get him in the 7th spot, I can pair him up with Mark Andrews and go with the week 17 stack, which apparently is the hot topic this month.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I have the schedules pulled up side by side here so that I can make sure I'm always referencing them correctly. But we'll talk about those week 17s when we start seeing like our teams fleshed out. And your boy Najee Harris is still hanging out there.
Still there. I'm like,
oh boy, let's hope that one person who's watching right now is not going to snipe you. Interesting. See, I'm not as bullish on Najee Harris, but you know, if you pick your guy and you've got your reasons for him, like I suppose he's going to get a massive amount of volume. He's going to catch the ball. He's going to run the ball. My only concern is that the offense isn't very good.
Still, who else are they going to give it to? I mean, are they going to risk it with Trubisky if he starts just throwing? I'm going to go with CD here because I think he's also what I liked volume early on. People that I don't know. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I'm looking at my. Yeah, I'm not going to take Allen. I am going to take Devontae Adams here.
Okay.
So that's a start for me.
Yeah.
And then I want a running back, DeAndre Swift.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snipage all over.
I'm a big DeAndre Swift guy.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, man.
All right. We've got Off the Schneid joining us tonight. And he says, don't despise the strategy. So that's nice. But if he does get hurt, it's pretty much all over for all of your teams. No,
that's not true because I did have like 70% Derrick Henry last year and I still was able to walk away with it. But it's like, I'm putting myself more at risk with just my one pick. You're not going to win your draft or lose your draft off of one pick. It's a combined total, just like a regular football game. You're going to lose not because of one person.
I mean, we can think of a couple examples where that might be the case.
Yeah, that's true.
But, you know, you just hope for not a preseason injury. You hope you want to get at least a little bit of production from those upper tier players. Like it's devastating if you were drafting like Cam Akers or J.K. Dobbins in like the 2nd round last year.
Yeah, I didn't have any of those, either of them. I got lucky. I think actually I got one auto pick of Akers last year.
So I started with Adams and Swift at the turn. How did you start at the turn?
I had Diggs and CD.
I like those volume plays. And Diggs is one of those players that I've pegged for regression in a good way. He was consistently a back end wide receiver 1, almost a wide receiver 2, but he had no spike weeks, like almost never hit a ceiling. Josh Allen. And looking at players who decreased their wide receiver 1 rate by 15%, they increased their wide receiver 1 rate by 9% the following year.
Okay.
So on average. So like they may not make it up all the way, but they still brought you back some spike weeks the next week, the following year. So that's off of the last 2 seasons worth of data.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Off the Schneid wants to continue this conversation with you, Felix. Okay, fair, but then it puts pressure on your late draft stances to hit as well. I don't hate the strategy.
Oh, I don't. I'm not taking any heat from you. Like, I'm just saying, like, weirdly enough, I have a huge stand on my late round picks too. I'm not going to say them on here because I don't want them to take it. But
see, for me, like I've pegged like a rotation of handcuff running backs that I'm comfortable taking because essentially I'm looking at what offenses I want, what offense like. I am going to spoil it because I talked about it on the podcast last night, but like a Darrell Henderson type of player who was running back 9 last year in rate at which a running back was scoring 15.5 fantasy PPR fantasy points. Like he's not an ultra talent, but he was scoring those amount of points ahead of like Aaron Jones, ahead of Dalvin Cook. He had a very high floor and he had a little bit of a ceiling.
Yeah.
Not because he's spectacular, but because the offense is good.
The Super Bowl, I mean, he was getting targeted felt like every pass play, like up the seam. So I mean, even when Cam Akers is back, it's still going to be part of the offense.
I think so too.
I'm going to be honest, I don't have any Allen Robinson. I know that he's a good player. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I don't trust him. I don't trust his motivation, I guess. I haven't. After watching him with the Bears the last couple seasons, I feel bad for him, but it's like he didn't put the effort in like to play. I felt like I don't know if he's going to have the same motivation now. He just got a little bit paid, but not. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean he's joined with the best quarterback of his career for sure. And now I'm on the clock, so I'll shut up. Sorry. You tell me more about why you don't like Allen Robinson.
We know who the number 1 is. We know it's Cooper, and also, did you notice when the Rams got Cam Akers back, the passing volume went down dramatically, or at least it felt like it when I was watching the games? I don't know, maybe it's incorrect, but I think they're going to go back to running the ball a lot more. And who knows? Like maybe they'll have a Super Bowl hangover. Like they have a pretty tough schedule in general.
All right, so I went with Terry McLaurin as my wide receiver 2 and Darren Waller as my tight end. And I'm
I am in a world of hurt here. I do not like any of these running backs, and I am not a 0 RB kind of guy, but I mean Waddle at 4th round,
I know.
I gotta go. 4 wide receivers. This is not my typical team. I will put that out there.
Allen Robinson, for me, he was a 0% win rate wide receiver last year. And what we forget is that Allen Robinson was healthy for the first 9 weeks. And the best he could do was 11 PPR fantasy points. That's the best he could do. And I know we're talking about, Nagy, Fields, Dalton. Dalton is a professional quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Fields is not a bad quarterback. And Nagy had been doing this the last couple of years. It's not like this was out of nowhere. It was not like he was a new coach. It's not like it was a new offensive system. A veteran quarterback was in play. I think he didn't want to play, number 1. And number 2 is I think he got worse. He's a bigger bodied wide receiver. And we've seen time and again, these bigger bodied wide receivers, once they start getting 29 years old, creeping closer to 30, though they start falling off.
Oh boy. Yeah. and he's had a couple ACL tears, and I don't know. It wasn't like he was a high, like, talented guy coming out of college.
Right. So a little bit about my thought process behind taking McLaurin and Waller. Waller was like the Vegas stack. I don't have a lot of Vegas stack. And then McLaurin, we know that Carson Wentz, he will hyper target his tight ends. He will hyper target his wide receiver 1, and he'll hyper target his running backs. So those are the three pass catchers that if you want anyone out of the Washington offense, it's going to be those three. That's why Logan Thomas, like really, really late, is an intriguing option, especially because Washington gets Cleveland week 17, and Lord knows how bad Cleveland could be by that point.
Absolutely.
I mean, we were just...
I also kind of believe in. I still believe in Carson Wentz. I think he's getting just a terrible rap sheet from everybody. I don't think he's a bad quarterback.
I don't think he's a good quarterback, though.
I think he was. I mean, he made Michael Pittman explode this past year, so we know he can at least show love to his, like, a receiver, and he doesn't like check down, so he's passing it to his wide receivers when he passes it.
I think Michael Pittman made Michael Pittman.
Oh man, I don't know. I guess we'll find out this year.
We will, but I think Matty Ice is gonna just elevate Pittman. I think that's a really interesting storyline to watch. Now, we mentioned the Browns a little bit. The Deshaun Watson situation just continues to devolve. Honestly, the ramifications for fantasy, I think, most significantly impact a wide receiver that's still available here, the number 1 wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns, and that's Amari Cooper. Like, Deshaun Watson doesn't play in Jacoby Brissett. How can we have confidence that Amari Cooper is going to be fantasy relevant?
I don't think that he is. I don't. Again, I don't like to throw bad vibes out there. But Amari Cooper's been kind of like steadily, he's been like even and like a little bit of a downfall. And I don't know, maybe I have zero Cooper. I feel bad for just putting zeros on people, but I don't see his level of play increasing. Oh boy.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of good choices here, honestly.
No, I don't. I'm going to go.
I've got one person that I got my eye on here.
Hey, I'm not going to. I'm going to throw up. Ugh. I hate Elijah Mitchell, but I hate him. I don't like it. Who knows if he's even been starter week 1?
I think I'm pretty bullish on Elijah Mitchell from a rushing standpoint. I think he is a sleeper candidate to lead the NFL in rushing yards.
Okay. I like to hear that. Keep pumping me up.
Yeah, I think he's because look, this is what Shanahan does. He's trusted Elijah Mitchell time and again, even through injuries last year. Like week 1 back from multiple injuries, Elijah Mitchell was getting the carries and he was doing well with them. He's not much of a pass catcher, so you're not going to get like PPR bump here. So maybe he's better in like half PPR, but maybe that's balanced out by the fact that if he's going to get volume of rushes, that 100-yard rushing game is very much within reach, and that's the bonus that could make up for the lack of PPR in this tournament.
I saw you got Cooks, man. There's something about that Houston offense that I love. I don't know what it is, but I'm liking that team. Oh, and you got Hussein. Oh man, that's one of my 80%, 60% guys is Amon St. Brown, man.
I've changed my mind on Amon-Ra St. Brown with the new information that we got from free agency and the draft. Because for me, before the free agency and the draft, the Lions, there was chatter about them drafting Drake London, them going after Juju Smith-Schuster, both players that I was thinking if they're signed or they're drafted, Amon-Ra St. Brown stock down. And that was very much in play until they signed DJ Chark, who's a high A-dot wide receiver, low catch percentage, speedster, big body, but skinny, but not an alpha.
Mm-hmm.
And then they drafted Jamison Williams, who is coming off of the ACL tear and probably is not going to be ready at the beginning of the season. So those two wide receivers won't impact the role of Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, they're going to get him involved very heavily at the beginning of the year. And I think that role is going to be stuck with him now. He showed enough year one that the Lions said, you know what? We're good with Amon-Ra St. Brown. We've got other role players that are going to fill in around him and Hawkinson and Swift.
Yeah. What do you think about DK Metcalf still being on the board?
Oh, man. His ADP is 59.3.
As soon as I said that.
Well, he just goes off at 72.
That's still crazy.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal, Felix. Like, the reality is DK Metcalf has, I think he was top 20 last year in wide receiver 1 rate. And I know that Geno Smith is probably going to be the starter unless we see like Baker Mayfield.
I'm pulling for lock, dude. I'm pulling out for lock. I don't have any lock, but he's a gut. At least he's not afraid to throw it. You know what I mean?
I mean, Geno Smith is willing to.
For fantasy, who do you want? Do you want Geno Smith or do you want Drew Lock?
Give me Geno Smith. Geno Smith is the better NFL quarterback, and we saw DK Metcalf last year have some fantasy relevant weeks with Russell Wilson out. Same thing with Tyler Lockett, surprisingly. Like, Lockett had 2 duds, but he had wide receiver 5 week overall in PPR, and that was without a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see. Are there other players on the board here? The bad thing, maybe you know how to do this.
Nope.
Is there a way to look at the board?
Nope. There's no board.
No.
If I win this again this year, I am going to apply to be part of their web design. That was like one of the things I've been thinking about. Is like, I mean, why not? Like,
right.
I'll go down as the greatest anyway, so might as well just make
back-to-back Millie Maker. What, you know?
Yeah. Oh
man! All right, we're coming up here. I'll talk a little bit, and then I'll give you the chance to talk. We've got. Oh, you took Hawkinson.
Yeah,
nice.
It was right away. It wasn't even a thought process.
Nice. I'm gonna go with a game correlation. Brandon Ayuk.
Okay.
They're
playing the Raiders, yeah.
They are. And then I'm also going to take my favorite best ball player of all time this year. I have like so much Tyler Lockett. It's ridiculous. At pick 85, Tyler Lockett. Like, dude has been, last year he was top 5 among all wide receivers in wide receiver 1 rate. And I define that as 24.7 PPR fantasy points or more. So like, when he spikes, we know he spikes high. And I think even with how bad the Seattle offense is going to be, he's going to have some of these weeks and he's going to return on, he's like wide receiver 41 on Underdog or wide receiver 42 on Underdog.
I've been trying to just get him at ADP because that's like, it's such a steal at that point. I'm totally
but we're at the turn, so we got to reach a little bit.
Yeah. You know, I grabbed my second tight end. I wanted to secure that spot. I have my receivers secured. My tight ends are secure. Now I just had to like spam it with halfway decent quarterbacks and running backs.
Well, you and I both are going to be in competition. I feel like we're going to be sniping each other a lot because we've got similar builds going on. I've got Swift at my running back, and then I've got 6 wide receivers plus Darren Waller.
So from the looks of it, do you change your ADP at all? Like your own ranks?
I haven't changed it on here.
Okay. So like what I used to do last year was every morning I would do a morning best ball draft, and I would like, before I would do it, I'd change like what players I don't want, what players I do want. So like right now, if Ezekiel Elliott was on the board, he's like at pick 8, like in my rankings at 300, because I don't even want to see him on here.
Lead us not into temptation. That's how the prayer goes, right?
Because I don't think he's good, and I don't think he's getting any better. So it's like I don't even want to think that I want to take him because I don't think he's gonna be what I need.
Interesting. I've heard a lot of love for Zeke, and I put it through the PPR machine, projections wise or percentile rank adjusted, whatever. And I feel like he's a good 5th round pick, but I've seen him creep into the 4th now, and I'm not comfortable taking Zeke in the 4th round.
No, thank you. I didn't have much of him last year, and I was glad I didn't. Even though I know he put up 1,000 yards and he was halfway decent and he was hurt or something, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Something about the way that they're running with them, I don't believe.
So that means you're in on Tony Pollard?
Yes. I am on Tony Pollard, and I think they're just going to pass the ball a lot more than they have in a while.
Interesting. You're the second guest that I've had in recent weeks who's been pro Tony Pollard, and I'm not in on Tony Pollard.
Okay. I just think when I watch the games, because I'm not the number and analyst that probably most people are in this space are. I watch the games and I'm like, okay, well, that guy looked explosive in comparison to the running back that they do have. And from what I heard other people that they don't really need, they can cut, not going to cut him, but they don't need to worry about giving him touches this year. That's
interesting.
What I've heard.
See, I think they're going to put their mouth where their money is, and they're going to give him touches because they feel obligated because McCarthy's not that good of a coach and Jerry's not that good of a GM. So, I mean, they put a lot of money into Zeke, and they know what they have in Tony Pollard.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, let's discover what we have in our 3rd round running back, by the end of the season. They know what they have, and Tony Pollard has had an 11% running back win rate over the last 3 years. We only saw one real spike week when Zeke was out, and that's been tantalizing us for the last year and a half. I'd give me Madison if you're gonna get.
I'm getting a lot of Madison as well because I'm also not getting any Cook. So a lot of the players that I'm fading in the 1st round, I'm getting all of their backups in the later rounds.
That's the smart move. You take the handcuffs of players that you're not comfortable with. All right, you took Garrett Wilson.
Yes,
go for it.
I'm taking Garrett Wilson because I think he has the ability to be a 1A to Elijah Moore being 1B, and I think they're going to pass the ball a lot more. I think Salah is he's probably on his last leg here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and go with that little combo, the Jets, and probably a little bit for ADP, but I want to make sure I get him. I'm the guy who wants to get his guy gets it kind of thing. But
fair enough. I'm looking at my bye weeks, and I've got Carr and Swift and Adams and Cooks and Waller and St. Brown all week 6 bye. So, yikes.
It's tough. I've been doing okay randomly. Was not paying attention.
I'm going with an anchor RB build here. If you haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah. Well, I do a lot of hero RB, anchor RB kind of builds as well when I usually go with Najee because then I know have Najee and I'll rip off Mike Williams, T. Higgins, that kind of way.
All right, this is the litmus test of whether I'm going to invite you back on the podcast here, Felix. What is your opinion of Mecole Hardman?
No Pringle there. I'm gonna play even. I think he's gonna have spike weeks, which is not bad at this cost. But I'm not gonna go out of my way to get him. He's gonna be my 8% player. I'm not gonna go over.
That's such a middling answer.
Yeah, I told you I'm not. I'm a Charger fan, so I'm he's gonna have 2 bad games, against the Chargers.
He's going to have bad games the entire season, Felix. Yeah. Let me tell you.
Please tell me. I'm okay with the hate because I hate Chiefs. So.
Let me tell you. The Chiefs were so confident in a Mecole Hardman breakout that they signed a wide receiver who had a 1,400 season on his resume, 1,400-yard season on his resume. They drafted a wide receiver in the 2nd round, and they signed the wide receiver who's led the NFL in ADOT each of the last 2 seasons. That's how confident they were.
I like that. Yeah. Not going to have any of him anymore. No, I'm just kidding. I don't even know if I have any ownership of Mecole Hardman, but there is something about him. He is fast, he's Chris Conley, if you want to think about it that way. Yeah. They're both kind of there.
But like even comparing the spike weeks, so I was looking at the 84th percentile weeks over the last 3 seasons for Juju and Mecole Hardman and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And Juju and MVS are pretty close. Like they're pretty close when it comes to this that elite ceiling, the once every 6 games type of output.
Isn't Juju still young?
Yeah, Juju's like 25.
Yeah, so like I don't know, just
that, and MVS is like 27, but MVS has like speed up the wazoo.
Yeah, I like those two better than Miko. If that was not clear,
for sure. Like it's head and shoulders above Mecole Hardman.
I have 0 Sky Moore. I don't believe in that much hype that guy's getting.
That's one of the things that I noticed is on Underdog, the hype is crazy for Sky Moore.
He's at least 100 like on here.
He's 100 on here. He's like 85. He was like 85 on Drafters Fantasy. And he's like 72 on Underdog. I can't get behind it.
It's way too early. Think about
yikes. Yikes.
And I hear like other analysts like, oh, but I got Sky Moore value. I'm like, value? He's at 80 for you. Like, no, it's not a value.
This is true. This is true. All right, I'm gonna pick 132 coming up here, and 133. Man, these turns have been kind of tough.
Yeah, this has not been fun. This has not been fun at all.
Not at all.
I don't like the draft at the back end of the draft this year because the one I usually don't get Najee, and I've been starting to see Najee go at 1 or 2. I'm curious if that has any influence. I've had any influence on that.
Oh, you're an ADP mover. Is that what you're saying? We have brought on Felix Castro, ADP mover.
Last year, Colin Johnson went like probably going undrafted in 99% of leagues, but I had him in 130 DraftKings leagues last year.
Wow.
I went insane on him, and he had an ADP like 120. I was like, or 220. So I probably moved his ADP last year.
All right, here we go. This is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
This is what I was talking about. I got Isaiah Spiller and Darrell Henderson as my running backs 2 and 3. And here's the thing too. They match up week 17.
Oh, nice.
So I got that little nice correlation going.
Do I have any correlation now? I'm looking at it. You know, I did no studies of week 17 correlations last year, and I just happened to hit the right players in the right spots. In DraftKings, it was so much harder to have like correlation that really mattered. It had to be like one player and one player. And this year, everybody's about that week 17 correlation.
Yeah, we're leaning into that hard. Let's go, you know. Oh, man.
I don't think I have any correlation. That's fine. I'll be okay.
Yeah. I'm wondering what players are going to come back around to me because, like, at this point in the draft, we are at pick 138. We're almost at the end of round 12, right? I think this is the end of round 12.
Yeah.
And this is where you start seeing you pick your player. You pick like screw ADP, you pick your players. This is where it starts to Felix is like, yeah, round 1, screw ADP. Let me tell you.
The way people are like so glued to the ADP on DraftKings, it's kind of insane that if you mix it up just even a little bit, you can get like different teams in like so many other leagues. And I had I had so much Cooper Kupp last year and Jamar Chase because I never moved them and I only moved them down or like up, I guess. I don't know how to say it, lower number.
Yeah.
That like I just had so much of those players. And I think if you take stands and hopefully you're good, I guess this should also preface that if you're a good talent evaluator and like know who's good actually going to be good, then you should be doing this. But I don't know. I've had no issue so far. I mean, again, I had a 50% advance rate, and I have a huge head because of it. So maybe it's not a good thing, but
no, I think that it's important to not. You got to ignore the noise because that was one of the big things in the offseason. If you remember, Jamar Chase, He can't see the ball. It needs to have stripes on it. Like
Stripes, yeah.
what?
I
Like
was like, what kind of
what?
fucking bullshit is that, man?
Like this is how crazy it was, Felix. I was able to get Jamar Chase in the 7th round of my home league. Okay. And those are next year keeper leagues. So like 1 year at the previous ADP.
I feel like I already won my keeper league because I got in an auction league. I got like Jamar Chase. It's like a super cheap value. I had Cooper Kupp at a cheap value, and then I got Josh Allen and Kyler Murray in the rookie years.
Oof.
Yeah,
Oof.
so I'm I already won that league in my head.
Yeah, and like last year Billy and I had a wide receiver ranking show preseason, and I had Jamar Chase ranked at wide receiver 12. And we brought on Howard Bender of Fantasy Alarm, and he laughed me out of my own podcast. And I was like, I love you too, Howard. But he was like, he's not even wide receiver 25 for me. I'm like, okay. Dude,
it's insane, man. He was like one of the best prospects coming out at the wide receiver position ever.
Right. Like unbelievable.
He would have been in the top 5 if he had been able to come out his junior year, what it was, or sophomore year.
Yep.
It was insane.
It's craziness.
I don't know what I'm going to do here.
Oh, Jamison Crowder went off. He's one of my favorites to pick at this spot.
Is he? So, do you think he's going to be involved a lot in Buffalo?
Do I think he's going to be involved a lot? I think he's going to score more fantasy points than Gabe Baby Davis.
Oh man! Oh no, I don't believe that. I can't handle it. Oh no!
Oh yeah. I mean, Jamison Crowder, 2 of the last 3 years, has had a 26% target share.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely. I don't know. I'm back and forth on him because I was so high on him when he came out of Duke, and then he just like dropped so many balls in one of the games I watched that I saw him do. Like, it was tough to. It's tough to go back to that.
Look, Jamison Crowder is. His spike weeks are just so much higher than Gabe Davis, and
especially
I know
being on the Buffalo Bills too. Like you actually have a real quarterback.
You have a real quarterback. He's better than Cole Beasley, and we've seen the Cole Beasley role be very fantasy relevant over the last couple of years. Gabe Davis, look, he just had to beat out Manny Sanders, a 35-year-old Manny Sanders, and he couldn't do it for most of the season.
Do you think it had anything to do with coaches thought, or do you think he just couldn't beat out? Because in the playoff game the year before, he was getting targeted a crud ton, like a lot. Him and Dawson Knox, which is why I had a bunch of 2 stacks with those guys at the end of drafts last year.
You know, I look at what he's done for the greatest sample size of his career, and he just hasn't been able. He's been stuck at a 10-11% target share. The big boom playoff game against Kansas City, Tyrann Mathieu got injured, and that was the main matchup. Tyrann Mathieu is one of the best defensive backs in the NFL. So when you lose a piece like that, who's like the quarterback of your defense, good luck, Yeah. And then you put your bully wide receiver out there because the bully defensive back isn't there.
I think another plus for both players, they're going to be in a lot of shootouts this year, I think.
Yes. I agree. They get what? Cincy week 1?
No, they have Cincy week 17.
Oh, week 17. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
They get the Rams week 1, I think, right?
Once again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All these they have so many shootout games this year, and it's kind of insane. They have so many primetime games and shootout potential games. I'm not huge. You have to have so many week 17 stacks. I'm I want the guys who have the easiest schedules throughout the year kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're gonna go playoffs, the Jets and I forget. I think it's Detroit have pretty decent schedules in the playoffs, in general. So that's why I've been landing on a lot of Jets and Detroit stacks.
Well, the Bears come to Detroit week 17, and the Bears are going to be bad.
Yes.
And then the Seahawks host the Jets. Once again, week 17, the Seahawks are not going to be a good team.
They're definitely not good defensively either.
Yeah.
Because they lost. I don't even know who's on their defense, to be honest, except Quandre Diggs.
Oh. I mean, Bobby Wagner isn't anymore. So,
Nope. Yeah.
all right, let's look at pick history. Oh man, Darrell Williams went off the board. I'm kind of upset about that. I like him as a play there. All right, how's your build looking? Because right now I'm at a 1-4-7-2 build.
I'm at 2-5-5-2. So
I need a quarterback here, I think.
I might go one more tight end late. I'm probably done with quarterbacks. Probably. Well, unless something else is down there. Let me see. It's on quarterbacks. I might go one more quarterback. There's one on there. I don't want to go with him this round, though. Let's see what else is out here. I can pull it around. Maybe I just pull that trigger here. Or I may wait. Who's on my team? I can get a late game store correlation. Okay. Oh, we got 2 auto drafters in this draft. That's another thing. Like, I don't know if they still do because I haven't been so scared to auto draft. But back in the day, if you auto drafted, did he get drafted? Did Hayden Hurst get drafted?
I think so.
Oh, come on. Dang it. Stinks. So this is way above ADP, but
well, too bad because I'm taking.
Oh, yes! that was my guy.
Because I had Brandon Cooks. Oh. I had him lined up. I'm so sorry.
That was my guy.
I'm so sorry.
I'm like full onslaught with the Texans, man. I think I'm pretty sure I drafted Dameon Pierce again. Yeah, that's another guy I drafted a whole bunch of is Dameon Pierce.
All right, so you took Dameon Pierce? Interesting. I've not drafted a lot of Dameon Pierce.
Did you watch any of his college highlights? Because that's the only reason I drafted this man.
Look, he barely averaged 10 carries a game for 3 years.
I get it, but if you watch those 10 carries, it is an impressive feat what he's doing with that ball. I think I'm done at receiver after that. That sucks. Man, I was really hoping that he'd fall there. Because I have if I haven't had my second quarterback, he typically goes a little bit later, I guess, on underdog. That I get up with as my second quarterback sometimes. Also,
to be honest, I have not taken Derek Carr as my quarterback one almost ever.
Oh boy! I didn't realize you got Derek Carr.
Well, he's stacking with Adams.
Yeah, I get you got your Vegas stack, yeah.
And then Ayuk in that game, and then I also got Zamir White in that game.
So do you think he's going to take over the rushing role if Jacobs goes down?
Well, Jacobs has historically had issues staying healthy. He profiles as a Jacobs type player, and then Kenyon Drake is more of the pass catcher anyways. So if this is where I was saying earlier in the podcast, Ezekiel Elliott isn't going to leave the field because they know what they have in Tony Pollard. They don't know what they have in Zamir White. And they may want to see what they have near the end of the year because they declined Jacobs' 5th-year option.
Yeah, I don't think they're keeping Jacobs, but I also kind of feel like he's either going to excel. Give me a second. They're going to run him into the ground. I don't think highly of Josh McDaniels.
Well, if they run him into the ground, then it's going to be Zamir White near the end of the year.
I was about to say it's going to be perfect for you. I do take some Zamir White because I do think that's how they're going to play Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? So I actually was higher on a lot of these running backs from this class than I was the top end of the wide receivers. If you want to take tiers on how big of each. I didn't like Treylon Burks and Drake London. I'm kind of coming around on Drake London now, but a lot of the top wide receivers I really wasn't really high on as much as everybody else. Again, Drake London's starting to rub off on me. What else are they going to do? They're going to Pitts and Patterson's not going to play. He's most likely going to regress. So,
I mean, he's a 31-year-old running back who's struggled with injury near the end of the year.
Right. So,
this is the Mike Davis formula.
Yeah. So, which I had little of last year, thank God.
0.
Yeah. Where am I gonna go here?
So do you typically play with like 2 tight ends or a 3 tight end build in these types of drafts?
I went like hard on 3 tight ends, but my team that won it only really had 1 tight end on it. I only had Gronk on it because I had Robert Tonyan, and he got hurt like week 6, week 5.
Yeah, you didn't get much of Tonyan.
Mm-hmm. And my quarterbacks on that were Tom Brady, Jared Goff, and Zach Wilson. So it's not like I had great quarterbacks either. It was just filled with like great talent in the middle. Oh boy.
Well, you're up.
Haskins and
Haskins went off, yeah.
Haskins and Keontae Ingram both went off. I was not expecting both of them to be on. Oh boy.
Yeah, now you're worried of who I would snipe.
Yeah,
Snoop Connor.
Well, okay, so I don't think James Robinson's playing this year.
I don't think he's gonna. If he does, it's gonna be late.
And obviously, Travis Etienne, we could kind of say he has a little bit of an injury history now. So what's to say that this doesn't happen again towards the end of the season? And they have a juicy matchup with the Texans, and it'd be a nice little correlation with them. For me.
That is fair.
I just hope you're not looking at who I'm looking at. But I don't think you'll draft this guy this high off his ADP.
Oh, now I will. I'm going to finish off my wide receiver core with Justin Ross. Because I've got Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
My thought is as well. Just
he crossed my mind. But I feel like
I agree with Justin Ross. I agree.
He could be a thing.
I agree. I think he's going to outplay just Sky Moore, and people are going to be like, "Why did we like draft so much Sky Moore?" And it's going to be Justin Ross at that position.
So here's the crazy thing. So the big board draft, I put in like 30 something drafts of that in February, and I had 30% Justin Ross. This was pre-draft.
Okay, yeah, I know. I did a lot of this too. I'm gonna pull up my exposure to see how much Justin Ross.
And the reason why is I was banking on the Jaguars stacking Justin Ross with Trevor Lawrence.
I did the exact same thing. I have 22% Justin Ross on the big board.
Something like, yeah, it was one of my most drafted wide receivers. And then afterwards, after the draft, and he went undrafted, I'm like, oh crap. Like, not only is it, I took a hit with the Kyron Williams takes because, Notre Dame. And then
he just broke his foot too.
He broke his foot. All the things are not looking Kyron Williams' way, and Justin Ross. So hopefully one of those two pans out for me. But
yeah, I had 20% Trevor Lawrence and 22% Justin Ross. Which makes me think about all my Jag stacks. It's got to be Justin Ross, or my thought process was.
Let me see what my official numbers were, because I was just off the cuff saying this. Completed.
While you're looking at that, what's your highest ownage of players? Like, what's your limit, or do you have one?
Where is it? Oh, why is it not showing up? Okay, so I'll answer that by telling you what they are. So for quarterback for the big board, it was a max. I maxed out at 22.6. Running back was 29%. With Etienne, AJ Dillon, and Keyshawn Vaughn. This was pre-Rashad White, but I mean, Keyshawn Vaughn was going round 18. And then wide receiver, Braxton Berrios, Juju, before he signed, and then T. Higgins were my top three. Berrios was 38.7, and then Juju 29. And then tight ends, Njoku and Fant were the top two with 22.6%.
You still believe in Njoku?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sorry, I did not until they paid him. Now I'm like, oh shoot, I was wrong.
His player profiler comp is Travis Kelce. He just is so athletic. He's got the first round draft capital. He's already put up a top 10 tight end season in his career. I think that it's just there have been enough pass catchers to get in his way, and they brought in enough tight ends to do blocking and rotate through. Now they've gotten rid of Austin Hooper. I think it's time to
So
reclaim that.
I'm gonna go Tyler Beatty here,
Ooh.
and it's mainly because this whole running backfield for the Ravens got demolished last year.
Yep.
And they don't really have like a great pass catching running back on their team. And Beatty could be that guy. He's electric in the backfield.
Oh, I love his pass catching capability.
Yeah.
My concern is that they're just not going to pass it to him.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, we don't know what that offense is going to look like this year. It's going to be a little bit different. So
we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, for a second to last round pick, it's not that bad.
No, it's not too bad. I am getting down to it here. Cedric Wilson. Okay, there we go. I've been taking a lot of very late Cedric Wilson.
That makes sense, yeah.
Partly because of the wide receiver handcuff. We've seen him step up as a wide receiver handcuff. And also, Cedric Wilson is one of only 7 or 8 players over the last 2 seasons to each increase those years in his wide receiver 1 rate.
I went with the old man, Velus Jones.
Ooh, yes. Isn't he older than Juju? Or did he play in the same team?
He's got to be older than Juju because I think he's 26 already. Or
that's crazy. It's crazy to me.
I watched all of these rookie guys, like their highlight tapes, you know.
Yeah.
And his wasn't bad. Like everybody's just knocking him because he's older. But I think Cooper Kupp came in kind of old too. It's like, not to say that he's on the same level as Cooper Kupp, but it's not that old receivers can't like produce.
Yeah, well,
especially when nobody else is there.
I think he's an interesting late round Chicago stack or game correlation at least.
Yeah. I got a couple Bears in there and a couple, which I don't like their offense. But I didn't really like the Jets and the Detroit offense last year, and they won me $1 million last year. So I can't say that you can't win with with bad offenses on your team.
That's true.
Alrighty.
All right. How did your build end up?
2-8-8-2.
I went 2-6-10-2.
Okay. Even with the anchor RB, you didn't feel like you had to push running backs at all?
You know, I felt good enough with the rotation of Spiller, Henderson, Gainwell. I thought was an interesting later round pick. And then Zamir White and also Pierre Strong. And we've seen Damian Harris have issues with his hamstrings. Mm-hmm. And I think Pierre Strong is like that future replacement. We talk about him and Kevin Harris as possibly the future running back there. Mm-hmm. So maybe I could have taken one more running back, but I wanted to win with my wide receivers. And I think I will with Adams, McLaurin, Cooks, St. Brown, Ayuk, Lockett, MVS, and Curtis Samuel, and Justin Ross, and Cedric Wilson.
I'm relying on Zach Wilson to be good. It doesn't feel great, but but my wide receivers are studs. My starting 4, and especially in the PPR format, CD is going to get us a crap ton of volume. Stephon Diggs got a lot of volume last year. We'll see about this year. Mike Williams, I think he's just going to take over being the number 1 in San Diego or Las Vegas.
He's the way better. Like, I don't understand why.
I haven't drafted any Keaton, and I'm a big Chargers fan, so.
Yeah, best ball, it's Mike Williams, 24/7, 365.
Right, and then Waddle with, like, the targets that he's still going to get the underneath targets, and they're going to send Tyreek in. Either he's going to take sweeps in the backfield or he's going to fly up and beat somebody deep and get the pass interference call for him.
Yeah, I mean, and that's if any of those wide receivers goes down, my boy Cedric Wilson comes up.
Nice. Yeah.
Awesome. So this is a lot of fun. You know, do you max out these drafts?
Well, I don't know if you know, but I just won $50K in an NBA showdown, so I will be maxing out everything.
Well, there you go. That is fair. That is fair.
It was the most unbelievable lucky one entry into the champion or whatever it is. I was just like, well, I'll just throw a lineup in because I wanted to complete a mission for DraftKings. I won $50,000.
All right, we've got another question. Felix, do you like Van Jefferson? If you're not in on Allen Robinson,
I'm gonna say no, just because I do think they're just like gonna be stalemating until they get OBJ back. Don't really care for OBJ. I'm indifferent. So he can have some spike games. Obviously, he was about to have one in the Super Bowl, but who knows how he's going to look after this ACL tear and whatnot. Tutu Atwell is going to be coming back this year, which they drafted him fairly high. He got hurt, and who knows like what part of the offense he's going to be part of. And clearly, they didn't really like Van Jefferson that much. He was only in the Deshaun Jackson role.
I mean, Van Jefferson might turn into Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, might even be cut before the season. Like, he's not like valued on that team, in my opinion.
Like, they gave him the chance and he couldn't do it.
Right.
They were so confident that they went out and they got Odell Beckham.
Yeah. And got rid of Robert Woods this past year and brought in Allen Robinson. And it's not that I don't think that Allen Robinson is going to get targets and shares, but I don't think he's going to do anything with them. And they're going to be – and I also think the offense is going to run a lot more this year.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to run and if Akers isn't the answer, then yeah, there's been a little bit of Jake Funk love on the Twitter timeline today.
Awesome.
Play that funky music, white boy.
Do you watch Bachelor or Bachelorette? Does your wife make you watch that at all?
I had watched it for a few years ago. I played some Fantasy Bachelor.
Me too. Off with Pat Mayo's. He ran one on his site. So I played on that.
I just did it on ESPN, and my wife was blown away that I was like in the top 10% of like these.
I came in sixth on that. I was like, because I had I had Pete, Corinne, whatever.
That's my favorite season.
And I was like, she's like taking me to the Ultimate Championship. I love her. She was like captain or whatever.
Oh my gosh, she was perhaps one of my favorites.
Yes, one of my favorites. Yeah, well, but why I brought up the Bachelorette. Okay. He's dating one of the black Bachelorette alums. I don't remember her name right now. It's
Lindsay.
It's from like this past season, I think.
Oh, really? Okay. Rachel Lindsay is.
Oh no, not
the
her.
Only one I know. Okay. It's okay.
Pete Weber. It doesn't matter. But yeah, it's like when he said Funk, I'm like, oh yeah, she's dating. Because the only reason I found I was like, why is she on the field for the Super Bowl? Like, she's not. And then she was making out with Jake Funk. I was like, that guy didn't even play. Why is he even?
Look, this is the best of both worlds.
I know, man.
Oh man, you win a Super Bowl and you got a beautiful, beautiful partner. So, Felix, this has been great. I'm really happy that you were able to join me today. Hopefully, you were as happy with your draft as you were joining me tonight.
Didn't get Najee. That's the ticket, man.
Yeah, well, can't win them all. Can't get them all.
Sure.
You'll be able to draft him plenty at the 101 in future drafts. Awesome. Well, if you haven't checked out Felix's stuff, make sure you do. He's at Crying Buffalo on Twitter. He also does some work for Bestball Nation on the YouTube channel. I call it the YouTube. So, it is what it is. But make sure to check him out. Doing a lot of great things, winning some milli makers and putting in one entry 50K wins. Like, okay, dude. And not team spreadsheet either. So it's a thing. Nevertheless, thanks everyone for tuning in. Once again, make sure you're subscribed to the Best Bell Fantasy YouTube channel. Click that red button. Also, I will be posting this on the podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. So make sure you're subscribed to the Best Bell Fantasy Football podcast there. Give it 5 stars. It makes me able to pump out content like this for free, and also makes my wife happy seeing that her husband is getting 5 stars on the podcast. We know how important that is. Happy wife, happy life. Nevertheless, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Episode 22 will be on Friday, and Emily Lefko will be joining me, and we're going to be talking about some sleeper picks this coming season. Emily from Fantasy Six Pack and Dynasty Nerds Hustlers FF. So make sure you check out that conversation with Emily on Friday, episode 22. In the meantime, thanks, Felix, for stopping by, and everyone, good luck in the best ball streets.